Hey, this is Darren Hubbard, and today I went out to mow my lawn and ran into a little bit of a problem. This is the starter cord. Came right off of the engine when I pulled on it. So now I'm going to show you how to replace this on your lawnmower. So a few of the things that you're going to need are a 5/16 socket right here, a 3/8 socket, that one right there, and both a Phillips and a standard screwdriver. And you're going to need some rope, a lighter, something to cut the rope with, some needle nose pliers. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take off this plastic shroud that is on the top of the engine, and that's a couple of Phillips screws. We'll just quickly take those out. And that shroud pops right off. Next, I'm going to need to remove the gas tank and get it out of the way. I won't take it all the way off, but I'll just loosen it enough to get it off. And in order to move that gas tank on this engine, I'm going to need to take off this cover that's on the air filter. And that is 5/16 inch bolts as well. So quickly take that off, get it out of the way. Okay, set that aside. So here you can see there are 3 bolts right here that are holding on that plastic shroud. Those are 5/16 bolts as well, so I'm going to take those off. Three bolts. Now there's another one down here on the bottom of the engine. It's a 3/8 inch, so I'm going to use this socket to get it off. It's right under here. You can't see it, but trust me, it's there. It's kind of a long bolt, but you got to get that out. And I'm just going to move it out of the way. Like I said, I'm not going to completely disconnect it. Here's the fuel line right here. I'm not going to take that off. What I did do earlier though was I did take out all the gas out of the tank so that it wouldn't cause a mess. There's a bolt holding the oil filler tube and dipstick right here. So you got to take that off. That's also a 5/16 inch. Here you can see, got to take that small bolt out of there. And next I want to just move that oil filler tube and dipstick out of the way. Right here, there's a little tab that goes into this engine shroud right here. I'm going to have to lift it up just ever so slightly, and I'll twist it out of the way. I don't want to take that off. So there. I just moved it out of the way. That's where that tab went into to hold it down, and then the bolt goes right in here. So next, I have to take off those 2 bolts. There's one there, and there's one there on the bottom of that shroud, and there are 2 in the front right here that have to come out. Those are 3/8 inch bolts. So next, this engine shroud will just lift right off the engine. It's a little tricky because this gas tank shroud is keeping it on there. And you can see this housing for the cord is riveted on here, so you can't take just that housing off. You have to take this whole shroud off. I'm going to next grab my needle nose pliers and pull out that broken ripcord. There it is. And what we're going to do is we're going to wind this up, and then we're going to put the new cord in there to get that new rope back into the pulley here. And if you're really lucky, like I was, and it's an emergency and you don't have a new piece of rope, you can't get one quickly, this rope on my starter cord broke right at the very tip, right at the very end. It's a little frayed right here, but what you could do is just cut that off and put that back in. You've lost about 8 inches or so of rope, but that can get you through in a pinch if you need to. But I'm going to replace the rope. So first I have to get my rope to go up through my handle. I burned it just a little on the tip with my lighter. Grab my needle nose pliers, and I can just barely see the rope there. All right, so I got that through. I'm gonna tie a knot in the end of that rope. Leave a little bit of a tail so I can grab it if I ever need to do it again, like they didn't do for me. Now I've burned that end of that rope so that I can put it through the pulley and the shroud. And what I'm going to do next is just use my screwdriver, and I'm going to rotate the pulley counterclockwise like this. So now I need to find out where that hole is to the shroud. It's right there, and I need to make sure to stop my pulley in a spot where it's lined up like that. So I'm going to look on the pulley here, and I'm going to see if I were to put the screwdriver right over here, basically on the other side of where that rope goes through the shroud. Just put my rope through the shroud. I've lined up that hole. With the hole in the pulley, the rope is just barely sticking out of that hole in the pulley. So I'm going to grab my needle nose pliers again. Hopefully I can grab that rope. This is the tricky part. Come on, baby. So, since this is being a little bit of a pain, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start that rope into the hole in the pulley. Now I've got it started. I'm going to use my awl to just kind of push that rope a little bit, give it a little bit of help getting through that hole. There we go. Now I've got a little bit coming out. Hopefully you can see that. Do you see where there's just a little bit of rope coming out of that hole? Grab it with my needle nose pliers. And start working it through there. Yeah. Now I can remove my awl. And now I've got my rope. Hope you saw that. Now I've got my rope coming through the pulley. Now I just need to tie an overhand knot on that. Do that one-handed. Leave a little bit of a tail on there, not too much. Okay. And just pull that back through, tuck it out of the way, that pulley, like so. So now that's in there. Now I can remove my screwdriver. I'm holding on to the rope with my other hand right here. And I'm just gonna slowly let that wind up in the pulley there. Give it a test yank or two. Seems to be working great. Okay, so the next step is to take the shroud, engine shroud, and put it right back on the engine and hook everything back up in reverse order. Okay, so engine shroud on, 3/8" bolts, 2 to the back. Get those started. 2 in the front. Next, I have to put the oil filler tube and dipstick back in place. Just rotate that around. The next step is to get the fuel tank back on. And we do that again with our 5/16" bolts, 3 of them on the top. Okay. And our one long 3/8" bolt, which goes on the bottom of the tank here, on this side. Nice and tight. Next thing is my cover over my air filter. Again, that's the 5/16" bolts. And last but not least, the plastic shroud. Need to thread the handle for the pull start through that shroud. Get those 2 screws started. Use my Phillips screwdriver to lock them down. And there we have it. Let's give it a little test pull here. Beautiful. All right, there you have it. Hopefully this helped you out. If you found this video useful, go ahead and give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you want more videos like this. See you next time.